Alrighty, so I'm going to do a quick video here on how to do the mean and standard deviation for a series of numbers. It's not very difficult at all, so if you have any questions or anything, feel free to email me, but hopefully you should be able to follow along and not have a problem. So all I did to get all this data that's right here, it's really not that necessary. We're only going to be dealing with the adjusted close and rate of return, but all I did was downloaded it from Yahoo, and it gives you the adjusted close, or you can use the regular close for a particular investment, and then I just calculated the rate of return the same way that we've been doing it before. I have another YouTube video on how to do rate of return if you want to see that, but basically all it is the last value divided by the one before it minus 1, and that gives you your rate of return. And so that's how much on a percentage basis the price of a particular investment, let's say it's a stock, so that this stock price changed. It went down 0.87% that particular day. It went up by 7% before that, and up by 9% before that. So that's just showing you how much it's changed on a percentage basis. So if we wanted to find what's the average percentage change that you get from that stock, well, that's what the mean is, and so we can use the function average equals average, like that, and then just highlight that whole column. I mean, that's all you need, because you have the series of data right here, all in column H, so we can just highlight the whole thing, and we could say just H like that. If we wanted to, we could click on this and drag it down and highlight that whole column, and we would end up getting the same number. But it's so much easier when you're doing this to just go up here and then click and highlight that whole thing. So if you click along this, if I wanted to highlight all of G, I could do that, or all of F. If I want to find the average volume, I just do that. We're looking for the average rate of return, and that's column H. And just hit enter. So we get an average rate of return of 2.06%. So that's telling us that on average, this is actually Apple stock. So every month, Apple on average returns 2.06%. So that's pretty good. But let's see. Not always. It's not always 2 points. Sometimes it's 14% gain, sometimes it's 11% loss. There's a 14% loss. It varies pretty considerably depending on the time period. So we can use the standard deviation function to figure out how often, or on average, how far do those returns deviate from 2.06. And so all that is STDEV. And they give you a couple different options here. You can do standard deviation of a population or standard deviation of a sample. Standard deviation of a sample is the one that we're going to use because we have just a series of returns. We don't have every single return ever, so it's a sample. It's not the entire population. But if you didn't have these different options, say if you were using an older version of Excel, just the regular STDEV is plenty to use. You don't need to worry about any of the other functions. So we can just use that one. And the exact same thing is you can just highlight that whole column. You don't need to highlight individual cells, or do one cell and then the next cell or anything like that. Just doing that is enough, and you can get the same results. So we get a standard deviation of 7%. So what that's saying is the average return is 2%, and we say about 95% of returns fall within 2 standard deviations, and so you can say 2 standard deviations would be a 14% difference. So almost every return is going to land between 16 and negative 12, and that would be because we can just say equals 2 standard deviations, so 2 times that, right, would be 14, but you'd also, you could add that mean in there, and you get 16%, and we don't need that many decimals. So you get a range of that, and then you can have the mean minus 2 standard deviations. So minus 2 standard deviations, and so basically 95% of our returns are going to be somewhere between 16 and negative 12, and that's because that's within 2 standard deviations. And if you wanted to, you can see what would happen within 3 standard deviations. That just gives you a much wider range, but that basically says every single return you're going to get is going to fall between 24 and negative 19. And if you look on here, that's pretty much true. I don't think we would see anything outside of 24% gain or a 19% loss, and we don't. But I'm sure in 2008 there were days that had huge losses, more than 19. And probably in 2000 or 2001, you'd have days that were returning more than 24%. But this is just a general outline that can help guide you, so you know what kind of risk you have with your investment. So we found that an average return of 2.06% with a standard deviation of 7% is what we have for Apple during this time period. If you have any questions on anything that I've talked about or how to do any of this stuff, please send me an email or message me on YouTube or something, or let me know. I'm happy to help. Good luck, and thanks for watching.